Well, this might change the political game forever. Elon Musk continues to shock the country on a near-daily basis, and his latest announcement is making serious waves. At a recent town hall event, Musk revealed that DOGE might start looking into how politicians get rich while in office. The room went silent, then erupted. Today, we're breaking down exactly what he said, what his investigation could uncover, and why it might be the accountability shakeup Washington has long needed. As always, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more videos just like this.
And effectively, there's a giant fraud loophole, which is that the government can send money to an NGO that is then no longer governed by the laws of the United States. So they'll send the money overseas to one NGO, then they'll go through a bunch of them, and then I'm highly confident that a bunch of that money then comes back to the United States. It doesn't go directly, but let's just say that there's a lot of strangely wealthy members of Congress where I'm trying to connect the dots of how did they become rich while earning, how'd they get 20 million if they're earning 200,000 a year? It sounds, nobody can explain that. So something's, yeah, we're going to try to figure it out and certainly stop it from happening.
It's one of the biggest open secrets in politics. So many of these politicians campaign on being champions of the regular Joe, only to magically become multi-millionaires once they're in office. And no, it's not because they found a genie in a bottle or suddenly invented the next iPhone. Most of them love to use the same tired excuses like they wrote a book. I'm looking at you, Bernie, or they got paid for speaking engagements. Sure, maybe a few do, but are we really supposed to believe these book deals and speeches are raking in hundreds of millions? Obviously, this is all alleged, but then there appears to be a lot more going on behind the scenes than we're being told. You have backdoor deals, insider knowledge, interesting investments, and connections that somehow turn into lucrative consulting gigs once they're out of office. This isn't about one party either. It happens across the board. Chris Josephs, who's co-created an app that allows you to replicate the stock portfolios of successful investors, like Nancy Pelosi, went on Fox News to explain where Musk should look to get real results and dropped some interesting insights.
You see one, you kind of think it's a coincidence. You see two, it's like, okay, things are getting weird. And you see three or four, it's like, all right, well, now what is actually going on? And it's great to see that Elon and the DOGE team are actually finally starting to look into this. We track specifically the trades and kind of the public filings of their disclosures around their financial statements. And there really isn't too much that you could see on the actual stock trading side. However, there's not much that you can really see into the spouses and the dependents of those politicians. So if I were Elon and I would kind of recommend where to look for the for some suspicious stuff going on here, I would go right to the spouses and especially the spouses and the children as well.
One perfect example of what he just said is none other than Nancy Pelosi's husband. Somehow, Paul Pelosi has become an even greater stock trader than his wife. For instance, he once made around a reported $5.3 million on big tech stocks. And you know what's crazy? That happened to be right around the time his wife's work was about to affect the market. The timing was perfect. Even Michael Burry wouldn't be able to pull it off. Then there's Bernie Sanders, the self-proclaimed enemy of the billionaire class. Right, it used to be millionaires and billionaires, but now it's just billionaires. But according to multiple reports, Bernie allegedly used his own nonprofit to funnel campaign money to his wife and stepson. So while he's on stage railing against corporations and the wealthy elite, his own family was benefiting from campaign money in ways that raise a few eyebrows. It's stuff like this that turns people off from politics altogether. These aren't just bad optics, they're why so many folks believe the system is rigged, and it seems like, allegedly, they're right.
But Chris, we're not suggesting anything is illegal because they can buy and trade stuff. It's just not very transparent.
Yeah, and that's, I think, what the majority of the Americans want.
Right.
Just transparency into it, bring some more kind of touch points on it. Yeah, we have been tracking her and a lot of other politicians for a while. No one has ever been found in charge for insider trading. Right. There has been allegations. We've seen some suspicious stuff, but you are right. This is all kind of just wanting more transparency and more input into what truly is going on.
Well, I say allegedly it's legal corruption, plain and simple, allegedly. You don't need a finance degree to realize something's off. When a politician makes a six-figure salary but somehow ends up with a net worth in the tens of millions, leaves a lot of room for speculation. The math doesn't add up, and it never will. If any regular citizen tried to pull off half of what some of these politicians do, people would come knocking at their door in minutes. I've noticed, by the way, you haven't liked the video or subscribed to the channel yet, so what are you waiting for? Now, as expected, the left's campaign against Elon was put on overdrive after he made these comments. Here's just a tiny taste of the type of reactions that followed.
I don't like Elon Musk. I'm going to say it 50,000 times. I don't like him. I don't like that he going out there and he firing people. I think that he's a crook because somehow the rest of us can't sit around and get whatever federal contracts we want. The rest of us can't sit around and get law enforcement and get them somehow ordained as federal law enforcement to protect him. The rest of us can't get our dealerships protected by the federal government. That is somebody that is operating above the law. For whatever reason, just because he has a lot of money, more money than everybody else. And yes, I am happy to see that on my birthday, which is what I said, there were peaceful protests around this world against him because he is a problem.
He's definitely a problem, but not for the everyday taxpayer. The only people sweating are the bureaucrats, career politicians, and contractors who've been feasting off of bloated budgets for decades. Take, for example, one of Chuck Schumer's recent posts on X criticizing Trump for the tariffs and going after DOGE for sabotaging Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. Elon replied by quoting it saying, "Chuck, I'm starting to think you're getting a piece of the action with the government fraud." But no, that couldn't possibly be the reason, could it? Well, I guess we have to wait and see. As of the recording of the video, DOGE has already saved taxpayers an estimated $150 billion, and that's just in under 2 months. Imagine how much more they could uncover if they weren't getting roadblocked at every turn by the same people claiming that they care about transparency. Interesting, isn't it? In an earlier interview, Elon also explained why we're seeing such backlash towards the work he's doing, and I think he made some very valid points.
Why this rage against you now? First they hated him, now they hate both of you.
Well, I think we're seeing an antibody reaction from those who are receiving the wasteful and fraudulent money.
They're being exposed.
Yes.
Nobody wants to be exposed. When
I'll tell you a lesson I learned at PayPal. You know who complained the loudest, and the quickest and the loudest and with the most amount of righteous indignation? The fraudsters. That's who complained first, loudest, and they would generally have this immense overreaction. That's how we knew they were the fraudsters. Mm-hmm. That's how we knew. There's to tell.
The backlash Elon and his team at DOGE are facing isn't because they are doing something wrong. It's because they're finally doing something right. For too long, government spending has gone unchecked, and now that someone's asking basic questions, the people who've been coasting off the waste are panicking in the face of accountability. At the Social Security Administration, for example, quote, around 10 million number holders, all listed age 120 plus, have now been marked deceased. And more recently, they found around $380 million in fraudulent unemployment claims. We're talking about people who haven't even been born yet, who are older than 115 years old or younger than 5. That's taxpayer money going straight to thin air, or worse, into someone's pockets. But I'd love to know your thoughts here, so let's get the conversation rolling in the comments down below. And if you want your friends to get their coverage from an independent source like us, please share the video with them. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.